Hello, friends. Thank you for joining us in this very important class. I will be presenting skills for securing gainful employment, where typically this is based on Nigerian experience, but it can be applied in different parts of the world. So, thank you very much for joining us. Just as an opening remark, I consider it an honor to offer you this very important lesson, as I do hope it will mean a significant contribution to your career growth and development. But kindly remember to subscribe at Makwachuku Ojide. That is the channel presenting this to you. Now, the things we are going to share with you in the next few minutes are as listed. One, challenges in securing gainful employment, preparing a winning CV and writing an attractive cover letter, and hints for successful interview. In this first part of this presentation, we'll be looking at the first one. After the general introduction, we'll be narrowing down on preparing a winning CV. Now, generally, gainful employment refers to an employment position where an employee receives regular pay and payment from employer. And such employment is relatively reliable, is a full-time regular job for which one is paid to support at least one's basic needs. And that is different from underemployment that a lot of young people are suffering all over the world. Gainful employment refers to a job which one finds satisfying, meaningful, and rewarding, and which offers the person both self-respect and the respect of others. These are things we consider as gainful employment. And we found out that a lot of young persons, including those with university degree, are seriously underemployed. And this is part of what we hope that this presentation will help you overcome. Now, it's important you note that from research, we have found out that about 95% job seekers are disqualified or eliminated at initial screening based on their CV. Many of them, as soon as the recruiter sees your CV, they will drop it. About 60% of the recruiting managers believe that fresh graduates are unprepared for workplace. And that is why they are not so quick in recruiting fresh graduates. You see many adverts saying 1 year, 2 years working experience is required. The idea is that it's believed that in the course of their working experience, they would have received certain culture required in the workplace. Now, over 70% of the applicants are disqualified or not qualified for the position they are applying for. Yet they quickly apply probably because the system for application is made easy. In most cases, you are asked to submit CV whether through an online channel or through an email. And so a lot of people keep submitting their CVs even when they know they are not qualified. If, for instance, submitting of CV requires payment of fund, it's got that many people who are submitting CV who know they are not employed and are qualified wouldn't be doing that. Don't misunderstand me. I'm not advocating that people should pay when they are applying for a job. By the way, they need the job to be able to pay their bills. So charging them for such services is also not good. That the majority of the recruiters, is important you note this. Majority of the recruiters spend not more than 10 seconds to 30 seconds in scanning a CV. Thousands of CVs are submitted through different channels, and then they have to scan through this to pick out the one to further consider. And part of what we're going to present to you here is how to make sure your CV ranks among the top. Okay, we will start that discussion in the next few minutes. We're just trying to create this background. Therefore, preparing a winning CV that catches the attention of recruiter within the first few minutes is essential if you must secure a gainful employment or even have an invitation for interview. A lot of people have been submitting their CVs in different places, but no invitation for interview is coming. I personally had that experience, and that is part of what has inspired me to do this video. Another important tool for securing gainful employment is cover letter. We're not going to handle that in this video. In the second part of this presentation, it will be presented to us. And so do remember to subscribe to this channel. Now, the first session, which we are going to treat now, is preparing a winning CV. I'm not going to take you through all the theories. These are things you can Google on different platforms. Many people have written so much on preparing a winning CV, but I decided to be very practical based on personal experience in this presentation. So let's get to the business. Now, just the structure of CV. A lot of people sometimes they ask me, please, can you send me a sample of CV? Let me use it and prepare my CV. I find it quite difficult doing that. I mentor a lot of young people who are early career persons, and I imagine that if I ever begin to share such kind of format, then all the people I mentor, numbering over 750 currently, we have uniform CV, and I didn't want that. I prefer people being innovative, so I encourage them. You go all out to search for the format that fits you, that you find attractive, and then you narrow it down to what you want to put in there. Okay, but there are basic information that is expected on your CV. One is the contact information. And make sure it's clearly stated, there is no error. Sometimes I've had a situation where we needed to contact somebody. We are considering for employment, but the phone number is not complete. That was a terrible error. Then your academic history is well stated. We prefer that you state it in an order, in a way that the latest will be on top. And then your professional experience, the same thing is required. Let the latest experience be on top, while the previous one will be down. Then volunteer work, if you have any. The other qualifications that will also be relevant to the job you are seeking for. Now, I'm going to tell you something about these other qualifications, especially if you have certificates to back them up. If you don't have, many of the adverts as they come, there are certain things that skills required for those jobs. Please don't be submitting generic CVs. If you see any promising employment opportunity, tailor down your submission in a way that will give you chances of getting selected. Okay, if you don't tailor it down and you keep submitting, some of these employers, they use call it a system, call it a computer system, to make it simple, to do selection sometimes. And maybe they need a particular skill, for instance, analytical skill. They may ask the system, sort out for us all the CVs with analytical skills in it. So if you have been submitting generic CV, your CV probably will miss that particular keyword they are watching out for. So when you want to submit any CV in relation to any advert you have seen, watch out for the skills. If you have those skills, make sure they are listed among your other skills. Then achievements, I will discuss the achievement more, as we continue. If you have gotten any publication, and I encourage fresh graduates, if you have done a very good project in your BSc or first degree, if possible, work with your supervisor to get it published. It means a lot if you are looking for further studies, for masters, for PhD, especially for a scholarship opportunity, or you are looking for a research firm. Once you see that clause, research scale will be an advantage. It's actually saying if this individual has published a paper, it is a plus. Otherwise, you keep saying I can research. Who knows whether you can research or not if they've not seen the evidence? Okay, so if you have publications and you put it there, you put the link. If it's a publication that has online presence, and which I recommend seriously, Put the link. They will click on the link and they will see you together with your collaborators. And they will know that indeed this person has the research skill. If you have got license or certificates for innovative, discovery, please put it down there. And then grant and fellowship are also required on your CV. So these are basic contents required on CV. Now, what is important is this. I'm going to share with you my personal experience. I graduated from the university, I did a degree, and then I began to apply for, actually went back to school to continue with master's degree immediately after my first degree. And so when I finished, I was thinking that will give me an advantage. And so I applied to a lot of places, submitting my CV. Sometimes within 6 months, I've sent out 500 CVs, submitting for solicited and unsolicited CV opportunities. And none of them were coming back inviting me for job interview. This continued for several months. I got opportunity to engage based on somebody's recommendation as a contract staff with a firm. And then while I was there, I was still hoping. And then I added that firm on my CV, thinking it would be a plus. Yet, all the CVs I was sending out wasn't bringing the needed invitation until I ran into a non-executive director of one bank in Nigeria, and he asked me if I would be willing to work in their bank on contract basis, which would be far better, like 3 times what I was getting in the other contract. I quickly accepted, and so he wrote a small note on his complimentary card, gave to me to take to the recruiting manager. I got to the office of the recruiting manager on that fateful day. He saw my CV and looked at me, and then I showed him the complimentary card. He saw it and recognized the person who gave it to me as non-executive director of the bank. He said to me, "Young man, you have not been getting invitations for all the CVs you've been sending out." I said, "Yes." He said, "I can see it on your CV. If not for this complimentary card you came with, just citing your CV here and now, even with your master's degree, I would have dumped it in that waste paper bin." I said, "Wow." He said, "Yes." He said, "Let me tell you, you deserve more than what you are seeking for here. The employment opportunity we have here, you deserve more than that. I'll tell you what to do on your CV. You go and do it, apply to where you want to work, and you will get invitations. You'll get the jobs." What did he tell me? That's exactly what I want to share with you now. He said, "Young man, in this business, we have this philosophy that if you want your shoe to be done well, you give it to a busy shoemaker. If you want your shoe to be done well, and you come to the marketplace, you see 5 young men who can mend shoe, and then everybody seems to be waiting for one particular guy, and the other 4 are idols. If you need that shoe to be done well, don't give it to that idle guy. Wait for the person others are waiting for." And what does that mean? When we see CVs, we ask a very simple question: has this person delivered before? Because as recruiters, we are looking for those who will deliver in the place of job. And there is no way we can know if anybody has delivered if that person has not included evidence that he has delivered in his life or place of work before. And so once we see such CVs without evidence that you have delivered something somewhere, that CV wouldn't get attention. He said, "Okay, let me ask you a question. I see you've worked in so and so place. Did you achieve anything there?" I said, "Yes." He said, "But it's not written here. What I see here is responsibility. We don't do anything with those list of responsibilities people put on that place of working experience. Yeah, you may want to reflect 1 or 2 things, but they are not as important to us as your achievements. So you go and identify all the achievements you have made in your former places of work. As much as possible, quantify them. Put them under the places you have worked before. Send your CV out and you'll get the job you desire." Friends, I tried it. I went home that day, had to rework my CV, had to show forth, the people I've interacted with. In some places, I had interacted with 300 people, training them on research. I had interacted with customers from different locations, trying to build their skills. And then I had to include this on my CV. And when I did, the difference became very, very obvious. I got invitations. People invited me to come and work with them. The first instance, I had two employment interview clashing the same day. I had to tactically make sure I am able to fit in. I told the other group, please, I'm engaged in the morning hours. Can you allow me come in the evening? And gladly, they said, yes, you can come in the evening. So in the morning, I attended the first interview. In the evening, I attended the second one. And friends, I can testify to you that by the end of that day, I had the two jobs to consider which one to go for. And that was the day I found out the secrets of getting employment. So if you have not been getting good invitations for job, please, you may need to reconsider reworking your CV. Go and rework your CV in a way that will reflect the things you have achieved. If you do, and as much as possible quantify them. For instance, you had trained about 30 persons in so and so thing. You had improved the growth of something in so and so measure. Maybe I'll show you a few examples here in the next slide. Okay, now let me throw up a CV of a fresh graduate. A CV of a fresh graduate, the wrong one. Now, this is Juliet Okonkwo. Is a hypothetical person. It doesn't exist as far as I'm concerned. Maybe it exists somewhere in the world. But Juliet Okonkwo happens to be a fresh graduate. And so this is the CV she designed. The street number is there, which is fine. But look at the email address. Sweetest Jane. Yeah, you can be sweetest to everybody. But please try to be a bit formal on your email address, the one you are using to seek for a job. Now, the phone number there. For those of us who are in Nigeria, we know that that phone number is not complete as a mobile phone number. And so that is also a bad one on this CV. Now look at the career objective. Say, I love to work with people who are focused. This person is selective. He doesn't like to work with everybody. He selects the kind of person he wants to work with. Motivated and willing to realize the best of it. You read this sentence and you get into trouble. You're not able to understand exactly what this person is saying. So if you must put career objective, make it as simple as possible with clean English, so that anybody who is reading will understand clearly what you are saying. Okay? Now you have gender, you have year of birth, you have the fact that you are single, marital status, the state of origin. Yeah, religion is fine. But who cares so much about your religion? So you may want to drop it. What if I'm not a Christian? By the way, I am. But what if I'm not? And I'm in the panel. And I see this Christianity that I may get biased against you. So you may want to drop that. Okay? Since it is not an issue, except you're applying for a Christian employment somewhere. Now, educational background. Look at the way this person has designed it. Degree certificates are obtained. The educational background, the institution the person attended this year to this year, this year to this year, this year to this year. And then the certificate obtained. Now you are taxing the employer to begin to merge those arrangements. I'll begin to look at year 2012 and try to locate the fact that it is associated with Kemak Grassroots Computer College and all of that. Why giving me the tax? Find a way of streamlining this thing so that people will see the degree and the certificate obtained together. Well, the next point is the most important, the one I was trying to say. This person has worked in Static Business Enterprise, Kogi State, Nigeria, and is still working there. Position, consultant, research facilitator, instructor. Now had done another job somewhere in a federal government college. Position, teacher, SS2, SS3, that's fine. But there's no other detail. Nothing can assure us that this person has delivered in these two places of job. And so if he has not got evidence of having delivered before, he shouldn't be invited for another opportunity. Otherwise, he's going to be another dummy in that place of work. So if you are looking for that job, you will want to look for somebody who has delivered. Now let's look at how this CV was reworked and what it turned out to be. Now, this is the same person, and we've tried to rework this CV. This is Jane Okonkwo. The birthday is there. The phone number is now correct. Look at the email address. I'm not saying that must be the format, but be a bit formal. Okay, look at the professional profile. I'm a young economist with a positive attitude in search of challenging opportunity to contribute to growth of a dynamic organization. I love working with people. Now, he did not specify the kind of person. I love working with people, sharing skills, knowledge, while developing and acquiring new skills to build a formidable career. Simple and short, key to the point. Now, look at the educational arrangement. You see, the person has got a degree in economics from University of Nigeria in Nsukka, Enugu State. The year of education is there. And then, this is also very important, the class of graduation is there, the class of degree. At a higher level, when you have got other degrees and you've got a substantial work experience, the class of graduation may no longer be important. But as a fresh graduate, people want to know, what did you graduate with? You hide it, you didn't include it, it may become an integrity issue. I had the opportunity of recommending somebody to Central Bank of Nigeria for employment, and then there were about 7 of them I recommended, and 1 was dropped. And this was just the simple reason they gave, that this person didn't include the class of graduation. Will I say, unfortunately, that young lady actually had first class, but she missed the opportunity of being considered for that employment. So include your class of graduation. Now, the secondary school is well stated with the degree acquired or the first degree also, the first school certificate acquired. So you don't allow your employer to begin to merge this kind of thing. Please, you spare them of that tax. They have many other things to do. But this is the key place they will quickly look at. Now, this person that worked at Startec Enterprise in Lagos State. Now the position is there, but look at what he put there. Achievements, stroke responsibility. Now the achievement is that the responsibility provides services to customers on market survey and all of that. That's responsibility. But look at the achievement. Trained over 250 graduates of economics in related discipline and related disciplines on applications of econometrics and computer softwares. And those softwares are listed if you start SPSS. So I see this guy called this lady called Juliet, who has trained 250 graduates. We will need to consider this person. This person has stood before a good number of persons. Communication skill is stated there because she can communicate. She can relate with people in the place of work. For her to have interacted with 250 graduates, please don't lie in trying to include achievement in your CV. Now, on behalf of the director, I supervise 5 other facilitators. Wow! So this person has supervision skill, leadership skill. This person can interact with others. This person can monitor, okay, negotiate and close deal and all of that. So 2 key achievements I see here that are quantified as much as possible through a figure. Somebody would have said, I supervise other facilitators. That's fine. But if there are 2, 3, 1, indicate it there. It gives the recruiter the opportunity to visualize the kind of person here. Now look at the secondary school where he taught. Before there was nothing there. Responsibility. Prepare lesson notes and taught and examined 220 students in SS2 and SS3. In the former CV, we never saw that number. So we didn't know how much this person has interacted with people. Organize weekly debates among the students on current national economic challenges. Wow! This person organized debates. So there is this organizational skill there. There is this mentorship skill there, and there is this quest for knowledge, current issues on weekly basis. This person is current. Then introduced and championed the publication of monthly economic digest in the school, volume 1 to 6. I was the chief editor with 10 SS2 and 10 SS3 students as co-editors. Wow, this is leadership. So where is this guy? Let's give him the job. That is exactly what the employers are watching out for. And then the subsequent trainings are also there. So we encourage you to do as much as possible, quantify your achievements in your CV. So I've shown you the batch sample, I've shown you the corrected sample. Okay, now let's get to other important things as we wrap up this particular lesson. Other important things to note is that your CV is what gets you that interview. If it's not well done, the interview is not there, so you don't have opportunity to showcase that you can deliver. Do not lie on your CV, please. It could backfire and ruin your career. You may necessarily include your first school living certificate. For those of us in Nigeria, we understand what that means, like your primary education certificate when you are just a fresh graduate. A secondary school certificate will also be important. But when you start getting work experience hired, persons may not need it on their CV. And people confuse this a lot. I see a lot of fresh graduates trying to tailor their CV like people who are well experienced, and they miss it. Understand where you are. You are just fresh. You are about to grow, and you are going to grow. So you start small so that you have opportunity to grow to a point where certain things will no longer be necessary on your CV. So do not put anything you cannot defend on your CV. Don't tell us you have a skill that you don't have. And then at entry level, you may need to specify your birthday, gender, and state of origin. But for hired, for experienced hired, it may not be necessary. And as much as possible, a fresh graduate, keep your CV within 2-3 pages. If you have got less than 2 years experience, don't put volumes of CV. For some of us, if I bring out my full CV, it could be numbering about 13 to 15 pages. Then I still have an abridged version that is about 5 to 6 pages. But for fresh graduates, for goodness sake, keep it simple so that the next few minutes the person is able to determine whether you deserve the job or not. We present here, okay, maybe subsequently I'm going to present to you CV of an experienced hired person. It's not included in this video at the moment, but that could also guide those of us who experience. So you may watch out in the next video. And then what else is important before we stop here? Preparing your CV, in a generic manner is quite okay. So you can prepare a generic CV, ask a professional, a mentor to help you look at it and make corrections, especially somebody in similar interest or industry. If you have prepared your generic CV before you submit for any good opportunity, you may need to make adjustments based on the job adverts. Consciously look at the keywords and include them on your CV if that actually speaks of you. And that is why I prefer that your CV should be dynamic, not static. You see, some people, one CV they are using for everything. Your CV should be dynamic. While I was still looking for a job, I make sure that I have a folder I call CV. If I'm applying to a particular organization, I will include the name of that organization at the end. Your CV, I put CV, my name, then dash, I'll put the organization, and I'll tailor it down to that organization. I may keep my generic CV and put the latest date I modified it. So any new achievement, I report it on my CV so that it's not when I need to submit it, I'll start trying to remember the achievement. But as I grow in my career, I report my achievements on the CV, and that's how the CV became dynamic. So make your CV a dynamic one to enhance your visibility in the market. In the labor market, I also encourage that you open a LinkedIn page if you don't have any already. All right, now preparing the summary, a winning CV. Your CV helps you to market yourself. It goes to rooms you may not go into. Your CV could catch the attention of potential employer within the first few minutes and help you secure the interview you are seeking for. I submitted a CV to an international organization, and from the HR, I learned that we were about 1,200 that submitted our CV. And then they needed to shortlist the top 5 and invite them for employment for interview. I asked them why. And one of the HR person told me that each time they invite people, they spend money. They spend money on their transportation. They spend money to lodge them if they have to pass the night. They spend money in feeding them. So they prefer to reduce that cost by selecting the best hand the CV can offer them. And so I was shortlisted among the top 5. I came for the interview. We wrote the exam. 5 of us passed the exam. And then we sat for the interview and I got the job. I'm going to share with you my experience on sitting for an interview, negotiating for salary and all of that. So let your CV, feel free in your, to sell your CV, sell yourself on your CV. Feel free to market yourself. Keep your CV, give it those things that will make any employer who sees it call your attention. On that note, I want to thank you very much for joining us in this particular discussion. God bless you.